What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, I just want to once again strongly advise those of you who want the real Too Raw when it comes to talking about various issues. Please consider signing up to my Patreon. I'm telling you, it's gonna get really rough being able to talk about stuff on YouTube. It's not even about cursing anymore, none of that stuff. They're really cracking down on small time content creators, mom and pop content creators. YouTube, which was started by us small content creators, to be an alternative to the mainstream. They've coming over. The corporate bigwigs have taken over, and like corporate raiders, they're trying to get rid of all of us. They want this to be totally dominated by the media. You see LeBron's on here now. They want to get rid of all of us. So I strongly suggest you guys go to the Patreon. It's only $2 per month, although there is a $5 tier just for those who want to hear me go in on that fake king from Akron with his shenanigans. Also have the Rumble over there. You know what I'm saying? So please subscribe to those two different platforms. We'll have some more content for the Patreon later on today. So, I want to talk about this situation with Keith Olbermann and Donald Trump, right? Now, of course, Keith Olbermann has let it be known that he does not like Donald Trump at all, right? Keith Olbermann has also been very controversial for some of the things that he has posted over the years. But, hey, he gets away with it because, even though he's a quote-unquote liberal, he also has a certain protection, right? The media is liberal for the most part, and the media does not like Donald Trump. For that matter, not just the media, but the establishment doesn't like Donald Trump. So Keith Olbermann can get away with saying a lot of different things and really receive absolutely no real repercussions for it. So what I'm talking about. Well, recently, Donald Trump, in a speech, compared himself to Andrew Jackson and Abraham Lincoln, and said that he believes that he has been treated worse in his lifetime than Abraham Lincoln, which, let's be honest, that's ridiculous. Okay? That's a ridiculous assertion by him. A lot of people think I'm like this Trump supporter that'll never criticize Donald Trump, but that's not true, man. Donald, bro, you're a billionaire, okay? Yes, you've been treated harshly when it comes to the media and all of that, bro, but you grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth. I don't want to hear you complain, okay? Abraham Lincoln grew up dirt poor. He essentially was a slave. He was treated by his father like a slave. He was handed out to other families by his father to work on other people's farms or fields, and his father would collect the money. So essentially, he was treated like a white slave. Maybe that's the only reason why Abraham Lincoln had some empathy toward slaves, is because he was treated like one. Same thing with Lyndon Johnson to a certain extent, working in the cotton fields when he was a kid. But anyway, Abraham Lincoln had to deal with the death of his mother when he was young. Abraham Lincoln had to deal with a lot of different things. Now, I'm not saying Abraham Lincoln's perfect. Don't come on my platform lecturing me about Abraham Lincoln and the Liberia option and all that. I know all about that stuff. I'm just making a comparison between Trump's life and Abraham Lincoln's life. Plus, Abraham Lincoln grew up in the early 19th century when certain diseases that we don't have to worry about, they had to worry about. You know what I'm saying? Like cholera, the great shit. Okay? The cholera is pretty much non-existent in our society. They had to worry about a lot of stuff like that. Indian attacks, even though I don't know that far up they had to worry about it as much, but still. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is what Keith Olbermann said. Because Trump said that he believes that he's been treated worse than Abraham Lincoln, who was assassinated. Olbermann said, quote, there's always the hope linking that quote to the video of Trump saying with that. So the implication is Olbermann is saying, well, we hope that Trump gets you know what. Okay? Now, to my memory, he's not the first person to say this or imply that we'd be better off with Trump in that way, right? Now, I don't know why it's become popular to wish harm on a former president or a presidential candidate. Like, this country has gone through the tragedies of presidents being taken away by that. You know what I'm saying? Abraham Lincoln in 1865. James A. Garfield in 1881. Right, just 6 months after he was inaugurated. William McKinley, just having been reelected in 1900. You know what I'm saying? Just I think 6 months into his second term, he was assassinated in Buffalo, New York. Then, of course, you had John Kennedy in 1963, right? Then you had some presidents who were near misses when it came to assassination. Andrew Jackson was nearly assassinated in 1835. A man shot at him for point blank range, but fortunately for Jackson, the gun misfired twice at point blank range. Then you had a situation. Trying to remember all of the different situations. There was a situation where there was a man who in Chicago, New York, apparently his target was then newly elected Franklin D. Roosevelt. This was January 1933. And back then, inauguration day was in March. I think the mayor's name was Anton Cermak. I think they were in Chicago, New York. And he meant to hit FDR, but he hit Cermak. Cermak later died. You know what I mean? Then there were a bunch of, a group of Cuban nationalists, I think they were, that tried to break into the Blair House because the White House was undergoing renovations in 1950, and they tried to assassinate Harry Truman. Then Gerald Ford, in a 17-day span in 1975, was shot at by two different women. Then, of course, Ronald Reagan was shot in 1981. He survived. So, look, at the end of the day, it's not funny, you know. And just because you don't particularly like a presidential candidate's policies or his personality doesn't make it right to make jokes like that. You know what I'm saying? Especially, publicly. And plus, come on, Keith Olbermann, you're a semi-respected, political analyst or commentator. He is smart, but he's very, very mean-spirited. He's very, very mean-spirited, and that's one thing I never liked about Keith Olbermann. He's too mean-spirited. Like, I can be mean-spirited too, but I have my limits. I don't wish that on anybody because, you know what I'm saying, to me, that type of thinking is reserved to the absolute worst in society. You know what I'm saying? The absolute worst. You got to be like a Jeffrey Dahmer or something like that for even justify that type of thinking. You know what I'm saying? But I just thought that was unbecoming. But because of his political leanings, he's not going to really take a big hit. But let this have been someone on the right saying anything about Joe Biden, and it'll be the worst thing in the world. It's been all over MSNBC. This person said Joe Biden is better off not being here or in some way, oh, what do they mean by that? And how dare you speak about a president that way? But it's just, it is what it is, man. I just think the rhetoric is just it's just way out there, man. You know, you have no place for that, man. Even if you're not a fan of former President Trump, to just suggest that someone's life being threatened is ridiculous. And no, we don't agree with everything that Trump says. Trump says a lot of dumb stuff. Like it was suggested a couple of, was it him that made the suggestion, or was it someone affiliated with him that the president should be able to use a SEAL team to take out opponents? No, you can't say no dumb. You can't do that. This is not a banana republic. So I just want people to understand, I don't agree with every damn thing Trump says. You know what I'm saying? But two wrongs don't make a right. So at the end of the day, that's all I got to say about it. That's how I feel about it. Tell me what you guys think.